Hello, friends, and happy Wednesday. I think it's important that we talk about our accomplishments, and we are going to talk about what reading accomplishments I got done this month. If you remember, in my August TBR, which I can link down below, I had a goal of reading 5 books. I think I completed only 3 of them, but I got past my 5, so I think it's important to talk about that. As usual, we're going to split this into 2 pieces, audiobooks, because I listen to audiobooks now, and I've been having a way better time with them, and then physical books, because I've been reading physical books. No particular order of consumption. I listened to The Stand-In by Lily Chu. I gave that one 3 stars. It's about a chick that ends up being a lookalike, and they need her to stand in for events and stuff for this super mega celebrity, and she ends up falling for the mega celebrity's best friend, essentially. I had really bad luck with audiobooks last month, I think, and this month I have not gone below a 3 star. I haven't really, I haven't. It's been in the 3 or 4 range. I've got a little telling me what I read. I gave this one 3 stars. It was narrated really good. The narrator really just hit the nail on the head. The writing, a little not my style. I just don't think I didn't love the story. I don't think. On the Lily Chu train, I also listened to The Comeback by Lily Chu, which is about a Japanese K-pop star who ends up hiding away in California or something. I don't know where they lived. And then the roommate of his family that he's staying with ends up falling for him, and it's a whole thing. So that one I gave 3.5 stars. And maybe I would have gone it higher, but there was a lot of pressure on our heroine, and I just felt like it was disproportionate pressure. Like they wanted her to just get over her beliefs and like her lifestyle and all these things, and that just, I didn't love that. So same deal with the narrator though. Same narrator, magnificent. Like if she would narrate all of the audiobooks that I ever listened to, I'd be set. Next, I listened to All Eyes on Us by Kit Frick, which is following rich socialite kids and a stalker. That one I gave 3 stars. I didn't see the twist, like, at all. I liked that it was a happily ever after. I just didn't love the story. I feel like it could have been a lot darker and twistier, and like there were just pieces that like were missing. But I do want to know more about like what happened after they got it all figured out and all that. So I guess that's something. I also listened to Touch Me, Teach Me, and Temper Me, I think in that order, by Alexandria House. I'm just going to group them all together because I've got the same complaints about all of them. I gave all 3 of those 3 stars. I didn't like the use of the word pussy. That's my biggest complaint. It would have gotten more for me if she hadn't thrown in the words like pussy and cock. Why'd you do that? Also, I didn't realize that it was going to be so smutty, so I started listening to it at work. Not me sitting at work listening to smut across the desk from my boss. It's fine. It ended up being fine. I did like the narration. I don't generally like dual narration, and I really liked the dual narration. I liked that they kept the same narrators throughout all 3 books. I liked that they weren't super long, but they gave you a lot of insight. I liked that the stories, I liked a lot about this, but the use of the word pussy really just knocked a couple points off for me. I would like Alexandria House to write an epilogue. I want to know what happened with all 3 couples from all 3 books. I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened to the baby, and I want to know what happened to the brother, and I want to know. So, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. So that's it for audiobooks that I listened to in the month of August. Now let's talk about the physical books. First and foremost, I finished Harry Potter #1, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and I gave it 4 stars. Harry Potter is my forever love. I don't care what happens with J.K. Rowling. I don't care what happens with the rest of the franchise. Harry Potter is my forever love. That's it. I don't have anything else to say about it. I read The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn, and I gave it 3.5 stars. This is following Anna after something traumatic happens and gives her agoraphobia, and then someone dies. She's trying to figure it out. I didn't see the twist. I didn't see the twist. I don't know. That's why it got 3.5 stars for me. It was kind of jump aroundy. I didn't love the way that it was executed, but I loved the story, and that's what matters. Yeah. I didn't see any of the twists, actually. I also ended up watching the movie with my husband. Not as great. Really missed a lot of like small details. Definitely not make or break details that like destroyed the story, but definitely not. But like, small details. So I didn't like the movie. Next is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey Mcquinston, and I gave that one 4 stars. Let me talk about it for a second. So it's following the first son of the United States, of our first female president, and the Prince of England, in their enemies to lovers story. Okay, I thought it had a really good amount of funny and romance, and like I laughed out loud, and like I really felt for these characters, and I loved that it was a male-on-male romance, and I loved all the side character development. And I think that if Casey Mcquinston made a story about Nora and a story about June and like branched them out like that, it would be it had some politics in it. It wasn't too much for me, mostly because I don't follow politics that much, but I must say I am a strong believer that not all Republicans are evil. So do with that what you will. I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, and I gave it 4.5 stars. So Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is following Addie, and she's born in like 1700s or something, and she makes a deal with the devil. And she meets a boy, and he essentially breaks the curse, and it comes to the time for them to figure it all out. I didn't see the twist coming, and the devil's in love with her. So, spoiler. Why did I give it 4.5 stars? It was really slow. I will give you that it's really slow. That's a lot of the complaints that I saw about it online, is that it just is so wordy, like so much. But I loved it. I will 1000% be picking up more V.E. Schwab books. It's been on my list of like TBR, my long running TBR for ever. I swear to God, in like 2015, I watched a movie which is based off this, but I can't find it online anywhere. So if you know anything of it, please tell me what it is, because same concept, that like out of sight, out of mind, and I loved it. I would have probably given it 5 stars, except that I felt the end was a little lackluster. That's it. 4.5 stars. I'm gonna be buying all of the Schwabs. I also read, this is a little cheaty. So it's currently the 24th. I am currently reading After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I'm like 60 pages from finishing it. So I'm just going to go ahead and rate it right now. I think I'm going to give it like a 3.5. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. I love TJR. I love her. I've read a couple of her books, and I loved them. All of them. I loved all of them. So I didn't have like high expectations for this book, but I didn't have low expectations either, and I think it's really just meeting me right in the middle, exactly where I needed it to meet me. I think I don't know. It's following Lauren and Ryan as they are separating and taking a year apart from each other, being married. Where I stand right now, I'm not really sure how it's going to end, but I think we're a solid 3.5 stars is what this one's going to be. So, yeah. And finally, the last book that I finished this month, or the first book, I guess, because it's the one I got done, was Firstborn by Will Dean, and that one I also gave 4.5 stars. So that's pretty good. 2 books. Wow. This is following Katie and Molly. They're twins. Katie dies. Yeah. And Molly's trying to figure out what's going on. Okay. The initial twist is literally halfway through the book. I almost couldn't do it. So Molly's got a lot of anxiety, and I have a lot of anxiety, but all of her anxiety is other things that I've never thought about because I haven't been, I haven't been posed with these situations. So it was really hard for me in the beginning to read about her anxiety because it was giving me like secondhand anxiety. So I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. And I got to about halfway and I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to finish this one chapter. The chapters are really short. I'm finding that if the chapters are really short, but it's a really long book, then I can just push through because I'm like, one more chapter. The twist is the last sentence of the chapter that is halfway through the book. That's the twist. Like just, boop, right, just thrown in there casually. I did find that after the twist happened, I got a little confused because obviously things have changed because we've got a twist now. And that I did find a little bit difficult, but once you got past, like, I don't know, probably 100 pages past that, it was so good. And then there was another twist. I didn't see any of those coming. They really set it up like it was going to be so obvious who done it, and then who done it isn't who done it. And I just keep thinking about it. It was my book of the month for July, I think. And it was my first really successful book of the month book. The first book of the month book that I ever read was an absolute bust. I did not finish it. I get secondhand stress from thinking about it. I don't like the author, nothing. So I was like, okay. So having a 4.5 star read from a book of the month book really, really, really lifted my spirits. I had a really good time, and I think I will be reading Will Dean going forward because, man, I probably would have given it 5 stars, except that it took halfway through the book before anything happened. Not before anything happened. I just felt like there was a lot of just living my life, and it wasn't a ton of investigation. It wasn't the idea is the twin is going off and then investigating on our own to figure out who killed the twin, and I just felt like the investigation was a little lackluster. It was more of just a living my life in New York type situation, and that just felt a little unnecessary to me. But I did not hate it. I loved it. Every single second of it. That concludes my month of reading. I read listened to 6 audiobooks and read 6 physical books, and I started on a 7th audiobook that I will not be finishing. So I'd say overall it was a pretty successful month. That is 7 more books than I even had on my TBR, and 1, 2, 3, 4. I read 4 out of the 5 books that I wanted to much this month. So that I would say is a pretty successful month. Going forward, I'll probably start reading more on my Kindle, a little bit more on my Kindle, for no reason other than I've got some books on my Kindle that I need to read in their series. So I don't expect September to be as successful of a reading month. Not to say less successful, just not as exactly what I want it to be. As I've mentioned in previous videos, September starts my final quarter of my associate's degree, and my son starts kindergarten, and we are picking up the Boy Scouts, and we are doing all the things, so I don't know that I'm going to have a ton of extra time to dedicate to reading, between like homeworks and baths and stuff like that, but we do still have like an hour and a half's worth of driving every morning or every day between like going to work and coming home from work, so I might still be able to get a decent amount, and then I'm just gonna have to figure out how to balance it, which is not my forte. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. Feel free to like, subscribe, and all those other things that people say on YouTube videos, and I will see you in the next one.